So basically, people, don't hold your breath and never say never.
It's right there, bro. It's like, it could happen, but it could not happen.
Right, because I know Take That, they have reformed. Mine is Robbie Williams, and they've been going on tours over in Europe, and they're just selling out and new album and stuff like that. And I'm like,
I know. I was over there, during it. I was working over there for like 4 months, and made me think, if these guys could do it, because we definitely were a lot bigger than them. Like, we could do it, but, it's one thing to say it and to see another group do it, and then to go and do it yourself.
Right. What was your take on the New Jack Swing era and that whole pop R&B period of the late 80s and early to mid 90s?
Well, obviously it had a lot of influence on us, and, I just, now looking back, when you look back to the 80s, late 80s, mid 80s, early 90s, it's really a lot of good music. And it's a shame because we're kind of losing a lot of that in the music business as far as pop, R&B, especially in pop more so. We're losing a lot of that with this really good pop music out there. And, it's a little bit of a shame because I kind of think, what are my kids going to have to remember like I did at their age? And honestly, they're not going to have a lot to remember because they're listening to old stuff that I've shown them. Like, my son loves Eric B. and Rakim.
Wow.
But that's because I play it for him. I mean, he can recite every lyric on the whole Greatest Hits album. So, the same with like Biggie Smalls and, a lot of the my sons are fans of like U2 and groups that are more older than a lot of these groups now that just have kind of 1 or 2 hits and then that's it.
Right. I definitely commend you for having your son learn the words to Eric B. and Rakim's The Greatest Hits. You're definitely doing your job and exposing them to good music.
Well, I think the thing is, the best music, like, especially my sons, they know from the beginning, they know Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force, and, I played all that stuff with them. So they can go all the way back. And I think you have to, if you're a fan of something, you can't be ignorant to how it started. So, it's their choice to what they're going to listen to, on a regular basis. And my kids tend to listen to the older stuff, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I'm a musician, so I definitely want to educate them.
Right, definitely. And I noticed back in the Call It What You Want video, when you was taking pictures with the fans, you were rocking a BBD t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, standard. That, like I said before, New Edition, BBD, Bobby Brown, Ralph Tresvant, those guys, were our inspiration growing up.
Mm-hmm. And I believe back in that period, if you guys would have went on to, let's see, you had New Kids, BBD, and Bobby Brown had y'all went on tour, money.
Yeah, that definitely would have been something special. I mean, for me, that would have been like the experience of a lifetime. The guys still, for me, I saw them do a show a couple years ago. They reunited and everything, and they're just great entertainers.
Definitely. And I want to know, how do you feel about the impact you guys and New Edition has had on the pop and R&B industry? Because both you guys came from a restart and paved the way for 2 generations worth of pop and R&B groups.
Well, I feel blessed to have been in that position, and I think New Edition, even now, like, still in the R&B market, they are like, they like, they're gonna exist forever in the R&B market, because you even see groups now, they still model themselves after those guys. Mm-hmm. Like the pop market, that's a wave. It goes up and down, but R&B is consistent because that's the bed of pop music anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're gonna live on forever, and to me, they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because all these groups are still, emulating them. The solo artists, emulate Bobby Brown, and there's even a lot of groups that go the more hip-hop route that are singing, and they, it's like emulating Belle Biv DeVoe. So it's like those guys are gonna go on forever.
Definitely, definitely. Now, did you ever listen to the R&B group Troop?
Oh yeah.
All right, what was your take on Troop?
What's that? Spread My Wings.
Yes.
They were great, man. They were a great vocal group, and live they were incredible. I remember seeing them. I think we did a show with them once.
You guys did a show with Troop?
I'm pretty sure. Either we did a show or I was at the show I think I was at the show in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, man, these guys just like were flipping in the air, and the dance routines they were doing were almost to another level of what New Edition did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were incredible. Incredible group.
Wow, that's definitely a lot coming from you, giving Troop their respect. I interviewed Steve Russell a while back, and that was like a big interview for me because basically, even though I'm 21, I grew up during that time period of like New Edition doing Heartbreak, Bobby Brown with Don't Be Cruel, High Five, Color Me Bad, and all that. So, you know what I mean? And just basically seeing the phenomenon that you guys did, it just made me go back to a more innocent time.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, even for me. When when I'm on my iPod and I'm listening to New Edition and, some of that older stuff. I mean, the other day I was downloading Surface.
Wow.
Because I had listened to them, when I was young, and and they were label mates of ours. And so it just, it definitely, there's a definite feeling than a lot of what you get these days. And it's a strange thing. I feel lucky that I am a musician, and I know to educate my kids and expose them to all different kind of music. And but it's also a little disheartening to know, what are they going to have to remember, when they're older, as far as groups that they're looking up to.
Right. Now, have they ever seen or listened to the New Kid stuff?
I got the videos on my computer, and they've seen it, but it's not really a big deal in my house. Mm-hmm. It's not, honestly. My kids are more into like the music I do now, and they just think like I'm a songwriter and my dad's a musician, and it really hasn't been a big deal. My daughters are 8 and 9 years old. They kind of look at it and they think it's funny with the hairdos and the clothes.
Yeah, you had the rat tail.
Oh, yeah, all that stuff, and they think it's funny, more than anything.
Right. Now, do you still keep in touch with the other guys in the group or anybody else from the New Kids camp?
Yeah, I mean, we keep in touch through emails, and, I talk to Donnie, a couple times a month just to check in. But, everyone has their own lives and kids and families and married or divorced or whatever. And, we kind of all do our own things but keep in touch. And it's definitely like, we're brothers no matter what. But we've definitely all grown, in our own ways.
Right. So what are you doing now?
Well, I've been writing, and in 2003 I had a solo record out, which was released here but didn't do well, but it was released in Germany and did well. And it's more of a pop kind of rock thing. And then over the last summer and the fall, I was doing a whole reality show with the band over in Europe, over in England.
Upper Street?
Yeah, I was doing an Upper Street project where they put four British guys from other famous bands over there with me all together and made a new band, and I had the time of my life.
Right.
Like, I just had an incredible experience. Wrote with one of the guys, wrote the single and the B-side over there, and it was just amazing. And while I was over there, I just wrote a lot of songs, picking up the guitar. So right now I'm finishing an acoustic record and getting a lot of songs placed on a lot of TV shows on MTV, the Oxygen Network, and just right now that's what I'm doing. I'm writing, and hopefully in 2008 I'll release a full record with the band and just keep doing the same thing.